Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Johngy or else podcast, without which life would be incomplete and have little or no meaning. As always, I am your host, who else but Tommy Else. And joining me from Skokie, Illinois, cruising for a bruise and always hungry for a knuckle sandwich, the man on the beat from johngysbeat.com, Mr. John Robleski.
Good evening, Tommy. Oh, wait, I wasn't supposed to. What was it? I'm not supposed to reveal the time that we're doing this.
Well, you can tell, I mean, no, I mean, if you want to keep it evergreen, but you can tell that it's clearly not like too late because I've got light coming through my
We have
window.
sunshine on a cloudy day.
So here we are.
We are here.
Come to a
We're here
screeching
for a
halt.
reason.
There's only you can bring us to a screeching halt in the first 60 seconds of the show. Yeah, no, we're here today because we are with a guest, one of our favorite things to do here on the show, and we have got a gentleman by the name of Joey Knetter, and Joey is a writer and a filmmaker, and he has a new film that is out. It's called Brute 1976. This is a horror movie based in 1976. It tends to be somewhat of a I think he would say himself cross between the Hills of Eyes and Texas Chainsaw style of horror genre. Something that he's obviously a big fan of and is paying homage to in this film. John and I both saw it, and we are here and excited to speak to the man himself behind this movie. So give a warm Johngy or else welcome to Mr. Joe Knetter.
There it is. Hey, Joe, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. Joey, this is Tommy. Tommy, this is Joey.
Nice to meet you there,
Tommy?
Joe.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. And John, it's been a long time.
It's been a while, like since Days of the Dead, maybe about, I don't know, 70 years, maybe something like that.
Man, I'm trying to think. I mean, I've been in LA almost 11 years.
Wow.
So I don't think
Wow.
I've done a Chicago show since I moved.
Wow, that
Wow.
long, huh?
Yeah, been a long time.
Man,
How
time
long,
flies. You're
how
always
long,
very good with interviews, though, and I've always appreciated that.
how
Well,
long
I'm
were,
100% myself. So
how long
That's
were
all
you
we ask.
how long were you in Chicago for before you went out to the West Coast?
I'm actually from Minnesota. So,
Oh, okay.
Chicago, I'd frequent a lot for the horror conventions.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um,
You
they are
visit.
always cool, but born and raised in Minnesota.
Nice. Right on.
So to date myself, 39 years in
Yeah.
Minnesota and almost 11 here. So,
Cool.
and Tommy, you're on the East Coast, is that correct?
No, I'm in Illinois. I'm in Chicago. I'm in
Okay.
I'm in Glen Ellen. I'm in a suburb of Chicago, about
Okay, nice.
40 minutes out from the city. So, uh, I grew up in the area my whole life, but I've lived in this particular town for 26 years now. So,
Okay, nice.
yeah.
I love the Midwest, but weather, weather
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Good
Yep.
point.
Yeah, we're in a nice little sweet spot right now where things are okay, and then everything will go to shit for about 7 or 8 months after
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah.
So,
coming.
No, that was kind of my last straw with Minnesota was when it snowed in October. I was
Oh,
like, okay,
sure,
that's it.
sure.
I'm out. At least growing up, it wouldn't snow till November at least.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
that's
when
the
it
way I
hits
remember it
October, you know
too.
you got five more, six more coming.
Well, I
yeah,
remember it being like, if you were getting snow like around Thanksgiving, like that was about the time it
yeah,
came. But now it's like I've seen it
and
snow in I've seen it snow in Chicago in early to mid-May before. So
oh,
it's like people are like, well, spring's finally here, and at this point, I'm like, I don't buy it until
yeah,
I gotta get at least till June before I can like really feel safe.
yeah.
So,
And then summers can be hot and humid, and it's just as the weather got worse, it just got miserable. And I'm like, I want to go somewhere where, number one, I'm in the works out here,
Sure.
but the weather's consistent. And, there's something amazing on Halloween night to see kids actually trick-or-treating in costumes with no jackets or
Dude,
hats or any of that on.
dude, you're hitting a button with me there. I mean, like that's something that I always feel so bad when I see kids going out because I remember doing it, and I just
Yeah.
seeing it, for us it was like if it rained, you'd have to wear something, but now you have to worry about it snowing outside, and
Yeah.
and it's like it's no fun. You get your whole outfit together and your costume and everything, and then if you throw a coat over it, it's just like
Yeah.
Not the
why
same.
bother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
and you almost wonder, do they even wear costumes or do they just put on snowsuits?
yeah, and
Yeah.
in my neighborhood, there's a lot of trick-or-treaters and stuff. So I'll see them out every year. So if I see them on a nice day, it always like warms my heart because I'm just like
Yeah.
good. I'm like good for them, man. I'm glad they got a good day for Halloween. So
Yeah. No, I remember growing up in the late 70s, early 80s. I don't remember ever wearing jackets on Halloween. I would just be out as is.
Yeah.
for
But
a little for a little while, I lived in an apartment complex, and we had there was no neighborhood really. It was a few buildings, and there was no neighborhood really to go trick-or-treating in, and so we would just go in the building, and they would let us do trick-or-treating there. But we would just, I mean, it was like a factory. I mean, you just
yeah.
because you don't have to go from house to house. You're going from door to door. So, I mean, you're cleaning up 60 units of building, 5 buildings. I mean, so we're coming home
Yeah.
with like bags and bags of candy and everything. And then some of our friends who didn't live there caught on, and then they wanted to come with us because the volume was higher. But
Yeah.
the thing that I missed during that time though was going to houses that were decorated and people answering the door all dressed up. Some people in the building did their part, but it was never the same thing as going
Yeah.
out and doing
A
real
different
trick-or-treating.
feel.
Yeah. Well,
No, I
this is a
remember people would randomly do like haunted stuff in their house and let you walk
yeah.
through, and you're just a kid on your own, and
And
they'd be
you'd
like,
go.
"Don't
Yeah.
walk through my
Yeah.
house." Sure.
Totally.
No problem.
Yeah. No, I still know a few people who do that, and like the neighborhood kids know that it's okay to like go there and
Yeah.
stuff, and they do it every year and things like that. So I'm glad that there's still some of that out. I'm glad to see that like it's as of like a week or two ago, I already started seeing Halloween decorations going
Yeah.
up and stuff. So
Yeah, I see a bunch.
I do like that it's gotten, like as our generation has kind of taken over, like Halloween's, taking its rightful place. So
Yeah.
well, this is a very good segue into what we're here to talk about today. Uh,
Okay.
we
What
you
are we here to talk about? Is
we're
this my
well,
OnlyFans content, or
yeah,
are we?
well, I
We're not
thought
ready for that yet.
that's the best place to start. I thought
Yeah.
Halloween into OnlyFans. No, you have co-written a horror movie, and we John and I both got to see it and everything. And I'd like to talk about first, kind of walk us through like how this came about.
Okay. Which movie are we talking about? I've been lucky that I've had three come out recently
Brute,
this year.
The
Brute
Are we? Okay.
Brute 1976. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned
Okay.
it. So
No.
it's called Brute 1976. It's very much in the Texas Chainsaw style of genre of movies, and so I know you, like you said, you've written a couple now. So what led you to this particular story? I know you co-wrote with this, so
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't co-write. I wrote. It was
oh
all me.
oh
All
well,
me.
there you go, there you go.
But
So
I
how'd you get there?
understand. I understand that there was some weirdly one interview said that I co-wrote it with the director, and then
Okay,
other people
maybe
kind
that's
of
what it
ran with
was then.
that. But this
Well,
is
good. Then
my
I'd rather get it straight from you then.
yeah. This is my fifth movie with Marcel, the director. We've kind of just we're friends and bonded and kind of wanted to work together, which has led to some wonderful stuff. I think the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the greatest horror film of all time.
Mhm.
I think it's to me every time I watch it, it still completely works. And I grew up on those movies in the 70s. My favorite horror film of all time is Chainsaw 2, but that's for a lot of different reasons. I will
Yeah,
definitely say one is a superior movie across the board.
right.
But for various reasons, the sequel has a place in my heart. But so I've always wanted to do a movie kind of in that style. Now, I had worked on another movie, a sci-fi movie I wrote called Space Wars: Quest for the Deep Star,
Mm.
and we had done one day in Nevada. They have some mines there to play the caves on this planet. And while I was there for that day, I kind of just walked around the location and kind of soaked it in, going, "Oh man, this is perfect for a horror film."
Yeah.
Because the beauty of that place is everything you saw in the movie that was there.
Yeah.
Other than we did some of the kill room stuff in LA, but almost everything you see just exists there.
Yeah.
Even the trunk, the box that the Sunshine character is stuck in and gets let out of, that
Yeah.
existed. So I wrote completely around that location to maximize
So like
budget.
that,
And
so like that stuff was just out there laying around. So
yep,
you,
it's a
so it would basically was it was the ghost town that you
yeah,
saw, and you just went there and was like, this is the place to ride around,
100%. I took walked around and made mental notes of everything and what we could use.
Sure.
And then when I was writing it, I kept certain things a little more generic. And then the director was in Vegas with his husband, and he went there and took some video
There you
of
go.
everything so that I could, kind of even contour it a little bit more. But, I always wanted to play in the 70s. I was born in 76, and it was an interesting time because you go through my baby book, and everything that year was bicentennial. Even I
Sure.
have a KFC bucket lid that's all
Yeah.
red, white, and blue, and everything. So I knew I wanted to play in that, and I also know that the modern generation considers movies from the 70s old, and they're not going to watch them. So what I kind of wanted to do, and what Marcel wanted to do when I talked to him, is let's do a movie kind of in that style of a movie from back then, but we'll do it also a little more modern to try to maybe bring an audience into the feel of what those movies were. But of course, we want to do it in our own way.
Hmm.
So obviously, Hills Have Eyes, Texas Chainsaw is, there's a lot of that in there. And then we gave it our own spin. I certainly put a little more comedic beats in than either of those movies had.
Sure. Oh
My
yeah,
my
for sure.
intention was if I went too serious, it would feel like we were just 100% ripping off those movies. So the spin
Right.
was a little more quirky characters,
Yeah.
a little more comedy, and just kind of doing our thing. And um, man, it was just so beautiful being out there shooting in the desert. Um,
Yeah, I bet.
Miserably hot, 115-degree days.
Yeah.
We shot the whole movie in 10 days. So
I was
Oh,
just gonna ask you that.
yeah,
yeah.
10 days, 9 out there, and then one in escape room actually that had a cannibal theme. That's where we did like the kill room stuff.
Gotcha.
But it was just beautiful being out in the middle of nowhere. It's hot as hell. Everybody's in it and sweating.
Yeah.
That time of the year, which, because I also am one of the producers on it. What I didn't anticipate is only 9 hours of sunlight a day. And as you guys know, the whole movie takes place during the day.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even, 12-hour days we got out there. It was 9. So, but it was just a lot of fun to
That
try
was
to exist in that world a little bit.
that was something I noticed that, and that's something you don't see in a lot of horror movies is that the whole thing does take place in the day.
Yeah.
There's no, there's no running in the woods at night or any of that sort of stuff, or it's all just in the daylight, which when I think does add to that element of fear because it's broad daylight and this is all still going on. It's like, and nothing is it's seemingly hopeless, in the situation you're at. The other thing about horror movies, especially when you're in the heat, you put yourself in that scenario and it's like, what a miserable scenario to be in already where people are trying to kill you. It's also 110 degrees. I mean,
Yeah.
like it makes it just seem that much more, awful of a thing to be miserable to go through, So I think that, that visual and, that environment, does something for it.
100%. I think you feel the heat on camera.
Hmm.
Marcel does, and our DP Marcus Friedlander do a great job of, capturing that look and making everything beautiful, and you feel the dirt. And we did, knowing when I sat down to write, I knew I wanted the whole movie to take place just in one day during the day.
Hmm.
I do that a lot on the indie things just because you don't have to have 30 wardrobe changes and worry about what it is. You can
Sure.
just put
Yeah.
somebody in one costume. And there's something about living in a time period with someone that helps make it feel a little bit real too. So the daylight thing was interesting because it is harder to get tension when you don't have the darkness. Now we did go into the mines, we did go into the
Sure.
underground tunnel stuff,
Yeah.
which helps a little bit with that. But and it also we wanted to do our best to homage those 70s movies, which didn't have a ton of gore. Um,
Right.
we did put the one big gore piece in, which I understand you guys saw the Amazon version, which they censor it,
Yeah.
which I apologize for that. None of us are happy about that
No,
situation.
I'm just glad to know that there is an uncensored version of it
Yes.
because I was confused. I was like, I'm really surprised with everything else that's going on that like that this is being
Yeah.
blocked off like this. But yeah, that's an
No,
Amazon thing. So
well, and
yeah.
it's I've now heard. I know it's Amazon. I know it's iTunes. Like a few of them had issues with it, and it blows my mind because if you watch The Boys on Amazon,
Oh
they've got
yeah.
a superhero crawling inside a dick
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
and sneezing. But I think when you're studio and more money, you get away with it than when you're indie.
I guess so. Yeah. No,
And
The good thing,
luckily,
the good thing is so many people notice it that that we're interested in in what you're doing.
yeah,
well, I
no,
was
it is.
just I
It's.
I just
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just saw, one of the new episodes of Peacemaker, and there's a scene in that where there's a complete orgy going on, and everybody is absolutely bare ass naked, men and women both.
Yeah,
So they got away with it. So I don't know.
it's always been that way. Where if you have more money behind you, you can
Yeah.
get away with more. And we've been lucky that the limited theatricals uncut. We have a really awesome Blu-ray DVD coming out, I believe, in October.
Cool.
We're waiting for that company to announce it. They haven't announced it yet, but that's uncut. And there will be some streamers I've been told that are going to have it uncut. I think that press release should go out soon. And that's the only thing they cut. We knew we wanted to have, homage to 70s where there's gore, but it's not 100% in your face, other than the gory hole scene, which
Yeah.
we wanted. I wanted to have one thing that was like really,
Yeah.
that people are going to talk about. And of course, that's what the reviewers and everybody's talking about. So that's the only sucky thing about people renting it and not getting to see it.
Yeah. Getting to
Um,
see the one. Yeah.
Yeah, because it
I
is
did.
pretty gnarly.
Yeah. No, yeah, when it's on something where I can see it, I mean, not that I want to see it, but I want to see it.
Yeah.
It's like,
You gotta see.
yeah.
That's the thing that the marketing should be. We want to see the dick.
Right, yeah. I was curious if you are by any chance at all a pro wrestling fan.
I am. I wrote the pro wrestling into it.
Yeah.
And the character Bishop Stevens, who plays Brutus,
Yeah.
he was a professional wrestler in WCW for a while, and his uncle was the Junkyard Dog. So,
Oh, wow.
so he came in, and then he's the one that suggested it was a backbreaker initially, and he
Right.
said, "Well, let me do the camel clutch because that would be a little different." So we swapped to that.
Well, what's neat in that is that when you see, like when you see someone do the camel clutch in wrestling, they're obviously not going to follow through all
Yeah,
the way. And this was like the one time you'll ever see somebody do a camel clutch to somebody, and they came like they do it to them.
yeah,
So no, I picked up on that, and then I also thought that the character, the victim of the gory hole. He came off. I don't know if you're familiar with Joey Ryan at all.
oh yeah,
He seemed like as soon as he came on, like I almost thought it was him at first. Like he seemed like a very Joey Ryan
yeah,
type of character.
yeah. And that actually was 100% accidental.
Yeah,
We had another actor in that part that ended up dropping out. So Mark is a friend, and he's in Vegas, kind of where we shot. So he jumped in and
he
brought
was
so
he
much to
was
the character.
he was my favorite guy in the movie.
Yeah,
He was definitely my favorite character. So
yeah, he's very likable,
yeah.
in a weird way because he's very weird.
Yeah, and even for the character he played and everything, which is kind of he's a smarmy type of dude and everything, but he played it well, and we've all met that guy and stuff. So
Of
like,
course,
but he had
yeah. I mean, the
and he had
characters
some
I
good
wrote,
he had some good lines in there too that were pretty
he
funny
did,
too.
and
So
some of them he did were ad libs, which were great. I mean, he got the character.
yeah,
Generally, when I write these things, I don't overwrite. It's all about giving the actor enough to understand what the character is, and then letting them bring a part of them into it, because that the creative process is so much better, especially on these lower budget things where we need everybody to be on the same page because of the days and what we're going through. And there's always things, our first day out in the desert, all of the scenes where they get out of the van and they're doing the makeup, all that, it rained all day. You don't really see it on camera because they did a really good job of hiding that. But of course, we're out in the middle of the desert in Nevada and it rains. And we're like, well, now what the fuck do we do? But the rain wasn't like too powerful, and they knew how to light it and clean up. And
Wow.
I don't think you see any of it in there, which is cool.
I didn't notice anything. I wouldn't have known if you hadn't said anything.
Yeah. And that was, on the lower budget ones like this, you don't have pickup days. There's no money to go, well, we'll just shoot at another day. You're there doing what you can do. So, the movie really is a testament to the cast and crew all busting their ass.
And that was part of my next question. It was how did the casting process go about? How did you find the people for the movie?
We use a lot of the same people. I would say about half the cast is usually people we've worked with before, because we know what they can bring to the table and we know we can 100% count on them to be out there. So then beyond that, we do sometimes casting calls. We go with a lot of referrals. People as a company, at the time, the company was Marcel, me and Sarah French. And now we've moved on to the company's future will be Marcel and I. But the people that work with us tend to have a good experience because you're not going to hear people yell. It's very stressful, but we keep things calm, and we like to always keep in mind that the fact that we get to do this for a living is actually pretty stupid. We've all worked shitty jobs.
Sure.
So to get to do this is amazing. So we get a lot of people that want to work with us.
Well, and if they're coming back, they obviously do enjoy working with you and are having a good time. So
yeah. And I would say half the cast in this are people we worked with before. And then you're just hoping for the best, that the people you bring in are going to have the right vibe. Because we want the experience for everybody to be something that they look back upon fondly.
Yeah.
Because everybody that works in this industry has horror tales of just shit show productions they've been on.
Yeah.
And that sucks. You don't want to look back and hate the thing. So, Sarah we'd work with a lot. Gigi we'd worked with a lot. Adam Bucci had been in a couple things. Dizelle Yvette, who played Mama Birdie, had been in Garden of Eden with us.
Yeah.
Robert Felstead, who played Charlie, he was in Pretty Boy. And I met him on a movie called Hanukkah, where we were both actors, kind of cast last minute, that were both scheduled for, 1 to 3 days, and ended up working 14 days on it. So we bonded over that film. So, it's nice to bring friends in that you can trust and count on. And our special effects were done by Robert Kern, who we had met on Garden of Eden. He came in one day to just help. And the budget is very limited on these, but he created all those masks, did all the effects, and really nailed that. The masks are super important for something like this.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
He had to make a lot of them.
Yeah.
And even the one last minute, the guy who plays your favorite character, he's also Paradise in the opening, the guy that gets burned with the bag on.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't in the script. When we were in Henderson, Nevada, 3 days before we started filming, just prepping, and everybody was coming for last wardrobe checks. And Mark happened to mention that he does fire stunts, and he's got a whole team. And I said, really?
Yeah.
Because he works for like the Las Vegas version of Medieval Times. It's a different name, but it's that thing. So it's a very professional team. And I was like, really? What would you charge for something like that? And he quoted a price, which was super reasonable. And I would say 5 minutes after he left, I had rewrote the opening for that specific thing. So then that was a mask that we threw on Robert last minute too, to be like, oh, by the way, we added one more. But if we do a bag, and you do something with that, we can kind of homage The Town That Dreaded Sundown and Friday too, even though those were after this time frame. And we can get away then. We're lucky that the mechanic suits they wear are basically a fire suit. So all that made it super safe. And it's that the indie stuff, the beauty is finding things like that you can suddenly go, oh, fuck, we can do this.
Yeah.
and not being tied so much.
Yeah, it's the process of, working around things and
Yeah,
finding, things to, make it happen.
yeah,
Yeah, because when you do, it's like, right, it's like a victory, it's like, yeah, we did it. We figured it out.
yeah, and that happens. I tell every filmmaker the same thing. There's going to be one time during your movie where you're just fucked and the movie's over. And you're
Yeah.
just fucked and it's over. You might as well just shut down and be done and cut your losses. But the beauty is finding the way to save things and how exciting that can be. It can reinvigorate you
Oh
quite
yeah,
a bit.
get you a second win for sure.
Yeah, because things are always going to go wrong. I mean, the previous movie we shot, I think, a month before Brute. We did a movie called Garden of Eden. Um, and 10 days before filming, we lost every location for the movie. Like in the same day, they all changed or backed out, and it was suddenly I had to find all new locations. And we ended
Wow.
up with better locations because
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And if that hadn't happened, you wouldn't have ended up shooting where you did. Yeah.
no, and that stuff just sometimes works out, and you know, Brute was a special project because I that's a movie I wanted to make for a long time. And we had times where the effects guy has done an interview where he said when he read the script, he was like, "This is going to work. You have so many of these killers in the opening. You need to only really typically you have one."
Yeah.
But then when he saw it all come together, he's like, "Wow, it kind of works." Where you get all random showing up here and there,
Yeah.
and of course it's world building. So we get a lot of time with certain characters, and maybe not as much as the next. And the sequel, which we've already shot, Brute 1986, which is more of a Friday the 13th
Yeah.
feel. We're off and running in that. That one
Oh
is
wow.
very 80s style. Super happy about that.
When
Now,
is that projected to come out?
We don't know yet because we had to wait. I mean, the movie's been done since January.
Oh
We
wow.
shot that last August, but we had to wait for 76 to come out because we didn't want to pre-sell it until we kind of saw how 76 did because we didn't want to necessarily, have 76 come out and do really well and have sold
yeah,
86 for
yeah,
a little
undercut
less.
Oh,
undercut
sure.
yourself. Yeah, you don't want
Yeah,
to
Yeah,
undercut
makes
so
sense.
yourself. Yeah,
we
for
haven't
sure.
really done a ton of press for that. Um,
But
we
you
haven't
get
even
what?
had like a cast or crew screening yet, but we'll do that soon, and then hopefully, um, I would love it to come out first half of next year
Cool.
because if you like 76, 86 is it's fun,
Nice.
much more 80s.
That's cool. Well, I look forward to that.
Well,
Yeah.
I had a question, Joe. Like, a lot of the reviews say like it's blood, it's gore. Do you think that? I mean, I know you love that genre, and there's certainly
Oh
nothing.
yeah.
But do you think that kind of diminishes some of those reviews? Kind of diminish what more is in the film?
Um, it's hard to say because I don't think the movie's that gory, other than the one scene. I mean, there's certainly gore, there's certainly some kills.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a double-edged sword. When the reviews run with how gory it is, it's good because it brings an audience, but
Mhm.
it also sets up an audience that's maybe going to be disappointed because it's not Terrifier. It's
Right.
not, the over gore. The one scene is. Um, I like gore. I like gore if it serves a purpose and serves the story.
Right.
Um, I think, Garden of Eden was certainly much more gory, but the gore all served a purpose. Every scene, the kill scenes in that are all like 2 to 5 minutes long. I mean, they're brutal. And, but that was what that was supposed to be. And I'll be honest, 86 is much more gory. We have more gore in 86 because
Yeah.
that was okay. That time frame. And we have double the dicks. So,
Oh, all
you know,
right. Well, there's your poster right there. Double the
yeah.
dicks.
I can see that on the poster.
Yeah. It's interesting because, when you do that stuff, it gets a visceral response. Guys cringe.
Sure. Yeah.
Half the women will cringe and half of them will
Everybody's gonna
cheer.
go like, oh God,
Yeah. Every screening I've been to, the audience reacts really well to that, which is why it sucks so much you can't see it.
Yeah. I know. It just figures. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We will see it though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Joe, so you got 86 in the can. Do you got anything else that you're working on right now?
I'm constantly pitching.
Yeah.
I've wrote a few things this year as work for hire stuff because I have my company where we'll do and produce our own stuff, and then I do a lot work for hire.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of what I can talk about. Um, I mean, I got one that is still in pre-production, the Twilight of the Dead. I'm super pumped about.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've read anything about that one.
I
Um,
am
No.
not.
okay, George Romero was planning to do Twilight of the Dead. That was the last of his Dead movies. It was going to kind of tie everything up and kind of go out that this is what he was trying to say in his saga that started with Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
He had had a treatment, um, and had started the script when he passed away. So I was one of the writers brought in to finish the script,
Wow.
um, which was, you open it up and it is his final draft of where he left it off. And he hadn't been too far into the final draft yet, but he had a good treatment. Wrote with a guy named Paolo Zaletti out of Italy, so we had the treatment to refer to. That's been long in the works, and that's been announced. I think the date just got pushed again, but it's Brad Anderson directing, who I really love a lot. I love Session Nine
Yeah.
and starring Mila Jovovich, which is super awesome to bring her back to the zombie world. But I'm super stoked about that one. It was
Well, that's got
crazy
to be
getting to write that.
incredible. Yeah, it's got to be
Yeah.
incredible to, see where he just even see, the
Jeez,
script that
yeah.
he had written,
Yeah.
up to where it is and stuff and
Yeah.
see his final writings and everything. That's got to be really,
No,
wow, I mean,
yeah. I
incredible.
mean, to read that treatment and go, okay, this is what sums up everything. And
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of jumps off after Land. It kind of ignores Survival and Diary a little bit. Kind of
Mm.
goes that route, but it's of all of them, it's the bleakest, which I like. I like bleak, dark stuff. But sitting down to write that was, I mean, you're like,
Yeah.
fuck. No
Yeah,
matter what
those
I
are
do,
big shoes to
yeah,
fill there. Yeah.
It's
no matter
impressive
what it
though.
is, it's not gonna. People are gonna react a certain way because it's
Right.
not George. Um,
Right. Well, I think he would be happy that someone was, finishing the
yeah,
job for him though. So,
yeah,
With the
and
resume.
yeah, and his wife was the one to bring us on and everything,
mhm.
and it's interesting because of how long stuff like that takes. Because that was written in 2019,
Yeah.
Ooh,
um,
wow.
during a 10-day period where I wrote uh, I wrote the movie Blind, and then I wrote a werewolf movie that hasn't come out yet. I wrote three features in 10 days. That's
Wow.
the most fucked up time I've ever had, where it literally had to be a job where I scheduled each day a certain amount for everything. Never want to do that again. Um, but I generally write fast. I think I wrote Brute in 3 days.
Yeah.
So that's usually how I work. If I have too long, I'm just not going to do it. Like I like
Yeah.
to be told, okay, I need it in this amount of time, and
So does it kind of come out more in like a stream of consciousness then type of
yeah,
way? Yeah.
yeah, because I don't outline, I don't write my own
You
synopsis or
just kind of
treatment.
start and then just see
I
where it
just run.
goes.
Yep, I
Yeah.
just go for it, and sometimes that's good, and sometimes because I'm a firm believer that I never get stuck in a spot. If I reach a part in the screenplay where I'm not sure what to do, I'll just mark and move on because
Yeah.
so often writers will spend days or weeks trying to figure something out, get something, and then find out 10 pages later that where the story goes, all of that they wrote doesn't work anymore, so they wasted that time. So
Right.
there's almost always a beauty of jumping a little bit ahead and it kind of working itself
And
out.
then you can go back to build it so that it
Yep.
gets up to that point.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
for
Yeah,
sure.
makes
so it
sense.
so it matches, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited about that one. I have Garden of Eden came out in, I believe, July. um, that's a super fucked up movie. That's the most fucked up thing I've ever written, most controversial movie I've ever written. That was kind of written as an American Horror Story meets Hostel meets Martyrs. Um,
Hmm.
and that was written years ago. It's the first thing I ever actually wrote for Marcel. And we thought there's no way anybody's ever going to fund this. It's really dark. Um, and I think it's also beautiful. It's an art film and there's a lot of subtext, but there's a lot of fucked up stuff in it. And we got lucky that we had an investor come forward and said, I just want to make a movie. I don't care what it is. I didn't want to read it. And I went to Marcel. I went, oh, fuck, this is our chance.
Yeah.
Let's make this thing. And That one's streaming everywhere. And again, very beautiful art movie. Not an easy watch. There's not a
Okay.
moment of happiness in that 2 hour runtime. And
Wow.
there's a lot of really fucked up things. It's a religious family. There's a lot of, but there's reasons for everything and there's subtext.
Yeah.
But that was the most fucked up thing we've done. And then, Pretty Boy came out earlier this year. That was our sequel to Blind. Lionsgate's had that for 5 years. It's been just sitting on their shelf. And
Yeah, it's amazing how many movies are just they've been done and they're just sitting there.
yeah,
Yeah.
forever. And that was what we hoped to be a franchise because it was a sequel to Blind. And we had a good deal with Trick or Treat Studios. They put out the costume and mask from Blind, and they were
Yeah.
going to retool it for Pretty Boy, but it's been so long now, and then to have it sit for so long.
Oh,
And
man.
Pretty Boy, Lionsgate's, not to talk shit about them, great movies, but they treat every movie, even in indie, like John Wick. So the deliverables, everything you got to do for them and provide is like
Yeah.
a massive budget movie. So it's constant money out of your pocket, to do, because that's, a lot of the indie filmmakers don't think of that. Selling a movie to Lionsgate, you're probably going to pay 20 grand out of pocket just to meet their deliverable list of
Right.
things they want from you. And that one's a shame. That was a really big bummer because I was proud of Blind. We
Yeah.
shot that again, 10 days for no money. And we had high hopes for it, but even Pretty Boy, they just dumped. They didn't do any press. They just dumped it. There it is. And that's happening so much now with indie horror because they finally realized streaming doesn't make money. So
Yeah.
nobody wants to pay for anything. It gets to be super difficult, and it's a little soul crushing. But we have high hopes for Brute. I think that's the most
Well-
commercial thing our company's done.
Yeah. Well, I thought so.
Thank you. And the price
Cool.
point is good. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a cheap rental for a new movie on Amazon.
Yeah.
Super cheap.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you if they're looking to learn more about you and your filmography and things like that? Like, what's the best place to learn about
Good.
Joe
We're finally
Knetter?
moving into OnlyFans. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. No, social media, it's Joe Knetter or Joey Knetter. I don't love social media, but
Mhm.
it's kind of a necessary evil. So, but if you reach out to me any of those places, I respond. I don't have a Twitter or X or whatever it is called now, but Instagram, Facebook, I'm pretty good. And I would just implore anybody that sees any of these movies I've mentioned, leave a review, leave a rating. Even
Yeah,
if you
it
hate
matters.
it, just something to get that going.
Yeah.
Especially now because they'll share a really shitty indie thing. There's so much indie horror is like a middle school lunchroom. There's so many people that hate each other and so many jealous people. So even like a Brute 76, our IMDb ratings were doing really well.
Yeah.
And then one night here's the thing, you can pay for ratings with
Yeah.
companies. The IMDb algorithm will catch the high ratings and remove them. They don't catch the low ratings. So we had somebody buy a bunch of 1-star ratings in one night just to drop us super low.
Wow.
And here's the shitty thing about that. Selling foreign distro to the foreign territories, they
Yeah.
pull up the IMDb and want to see the rating above a certain number.
So they're not gonna,
Yep.
distribute it.
And that's
for you.
shitty. That shouldn't be that way. But so the ratings, reviews, all that matters. And I'm not telling anybody to lie. If you hated the movie, that's fine too.
Yeah. No,
but just
any reaction is a reaction, but
Yeah.
at least let them be honest and not paid for, bot
Yeah.
reactions.
Yeah.
That's garbage.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the reviews are always interesting too because we get a lot of, like, even Brood has got a lot of, it's the worst movie ever made. And it's like, how many fucking movies are you watching? Like
Yeah.
it's no one's saying it's a masterpiece. We understand
Right.
what we made, but it's not the worst movie ever made.
Right. Yeah.
But I think what sometimes happens is, the more press you get for an indie movie, the more eyes are on it where people think, oh, this is going to be like a big budget thing.
Right.
And it's like, well, no, we're, the crafty food budget on the movies you're thinking it is probably more than the cost of this whole movie.
Right.
So, but again, the audience doesn't care. They don't care what was spent. They just want to be entertained. And
Well, it speaks for itself at the end of the day.
thank you.
So,
Did John warn you that I'm a talker? Like,
Well, I said you were very generous back in the day,
yeah,
doing interviews with me, and I was just starting out with interviews, so I'm sure I was bumbling all over the place. But you also did one with a bunch of kids that I brought because the kids
I
wanted to do
I
they,
remember that.
and you were very generous and very patient, and I
No,
really appreciate it. The kids still talk
they
about
were
it
great,
now.
and I transitioned quickly to being very clean because
Yes, you
I'm not
did.
always clean, but
Yeah.
You did, yeah. The kids did not come away scarred. But before I
yeah.
let you go, Joe, how's your health, man? I know you had some issues. You had some surgeries. Everything going all right?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm walking and moving now. I have had spinal problems since I was 15. I've had 6 spinal surgeries. Um, and 2 years ago, I'd lost the ability to walk. I was in a wheelchair, walker, or bedridden. I couldn't get out. Even Brood 86, I wrote um, from a hospital bed. And then I did a lot of the pre-production from a nursing home bed. And even when we shot it, I could travel to set, but there was no going back. So I had to just live on set the whole time and never leave.
Wow.
Uh, but I had a surgery in October, and it's got me walking and moving again. I'm certainly not great, but I can walk, I can move again. I
Good.
know it'll go to hell again. This has kind of been a lifelong thing, but for now, I feel pretty good.
Good. Good.
The
I'm glad.
last, that coincided with a pretty crazy time of my life, John.
Yeah. But you're
you
you're
know,
coming
yeah,
through, buddy.
yeah. I always look at things as even when I struggled at my worst with the health, it was like there's people that have it way worse. You know,
Yeah.
I'm
I know.
I'm okay.
I try to tell myself the same thing, man.
Yeah,
For every bad day you're having, there's someone having a much worse one somewhere.
yeah.
So,
And I'm pretty proud. Like no, most of my friends didn't even know about the nursing home and hospital stuff. I just always made excuses why we couldn't get together because I didn't want people to know.
yeah,
Um, and but I'm comfortable talking about a lot of it now because that's part of the new me is sharing things. I've got a
good.
lot of rods and screws. I've got the spinal cord stimulator, so I have a battery pack under my skin and electrodes in my spinal cord, and I have a remote control where I can adjust it. So I'm getting closer and closer to being a cyborg,
That's cool.
and I'm excited about that. It is weird charging myself once a week.
Yeah.
I have to
Yeah.
stick a thing on my back to charge the
Wow.
battery under the skin, and
Really?
that's weird, of course.
Can you
Um,
feel anything while it's doing it?
the charging you can't.
No.
And
Okay.
what it basically does is it creates disruption of the pain brain signals, and
Okay.
instead it's like white noise. So it helps my legs. My back doesn't help my back at all, but it helps the leg and feet pain by like 60%, which is good. Most of the time the settings on, I don't feel it, but if I turn it up a little bit, then it just feels like my whole body's vibrating from the waist down from
Yeah.
within my body. It's a very weird feeling.
Yeah, I
Um,
imagine.
but it's just interesting. But I appreciate you asking, John. I'm doing well.
Good.
I'm navigating a whole new world of being single for the first time since the 90s and how much everything is fucking different now. It's been
Well,
pretty
Well,
crazy.
you're preaching to the choir over here, my friend. So
yeah, both of us, yeah.
I'm there right there with you, and it sucks. I'm say I hate to be the bearer of bad news, man, but it's rough,
Yeah.
man. It's
Yeah,
rough.
it
Well, you're
is.
So
looking good. You're sounding good, man.
Thank you,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, I've lost a lot of weight. I have friends that are helping me with diet a little bit better and getting out and it's all about when you go through the shit I went through, just getting out of bed and getting out of the darkness. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well,
And you're
good for
doing
it's
you,
it.
cer-
man.
thank you. It's certainly not been the most fun having to promote all these movies with the person,
Yeah,
but what can you do?
Well,
yeah.
when 1986 comes out, you got to come back on and give us the
Of
update.
course, of
Yeah,
course.
no,
Yeah, I would love to.
we'll
I'm
absolutely
glad.
check.
I'm glad you guys know. Did you guys like 76?
Yeah, of course. That's
It's
why
okay
we're
if you
here.
didn't.
Yeah. No,
No,
no, I did.
absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
and I too was a Texas Chainsaw guy, and I know what you're saying about number two. It's like one is it's very raw and gritty, and um, it just seems very hyper focused in one way, and then two to me is almost more like a fun Chainsaw
Yeah.
movie, kind of like if you could have such a thing. It just like to me that just it was a little more colorful. It was a little more, I don't know, just it's they're different, but but yeah, I also get what you're saying about number one being like for the movie being a
Yeah.
superior movie. So
I
yeah,
just think it's the
so
greatest of all time.
right,
We
so
would
Bruce,
not have been this eager for the interview if we ended up hating the movie.
yeah, we would have been like, well, we'll get around to it eventually,
Yeah. Well,
so,
We'll get back to
but
you.
yeah,
well, I
well,
mean, we did delay this a few times.
that was what part of it's my fault,
First
but,
was me. First
yeah,
was me.
then was me,
I'm
that's my fault
innocent.
and stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
so. But I'm glad that we got to do this. Thank you
Yeah,
again for
absolutely.
coming on,
Thank you,
and
Joe.
Of
It's good to
course.
see you.
Yeah, man.
keep up
Absolutely. Hope you're
everything.
doing well too, John.
Doing good, buddy. Thanks.
Great.
Keep up with everything, and again, let us know when 86 comes out, and we'll check that out, and we'll check back in with you. And
Absolutely.
I hope your health keeps up, and it was good meeting you.
Yeah, very nice to meet you as well.
All right, Joe, you take it easy. Thanks for
Thanks,
being with
Joe.
us.
Appreciate it.
Of course, guys. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Yep. Bye.
Well, there he is, everybody, Joey Knetter. Really cool getting to talk to him. Getting to see the movie and then get to talk to the man who wrote it. I was glad that he did not co-write it with somebody because then it's like I felt like we're getting half the story. I'm like, so cool
That was
to
my fault, but
talk to
that's what I
him.
kept seeing in the articles, the research I was
It is
doing.
your fault because you're the one who told me that. So
But he even said it's everyone picked it up.
yeah, well, you're the
Then
you're
one
you're the
review
ace
and
reporter out there. So I just figured that
hey, I brought Joey to us
I
at
could
least.
trust
I brought
your
Joey to us.
your
Joey's a really good guy.
accuracy. He's a
Like I
very
said,
good
I've known
guy.
him for years. And
Yeah, it's always cool to be able to like see something that somebody's done or listen to it or whatever the case is, and then get to talk to the person and find out like the process and the how and the why, and hearing how other projects influenced. It's like had he not been working on that one, he wouldn't have been in the desert that day. It's cool that when he was talking about that area that they filmed in, all of the stuff that they used in the movie was just stuff that was just they because I'm not spoiling anything major by saying that they kind of find themselves in a ghost town of sorts in this movie, and he literally stumbled across this place and then just thought, man, this would be a perfect spot to write a horror movie around, and to go back there and then just take that. I mean, that knowing that, and then like it almost makes you want to go rewatch it because it's like that. It's almost crazier because it's like that place really exists.
well, and
So,
like the other thing too, without giving away too much, like he was saying about the daylight and he was saying about the rain and the duration, it only took so many days. Like like that really was interesting too. I picture movies being a lot different than that.
yeah.
That was cool to kind of hear that inside stuff.
Well, I mean, if you're organized and you know how to do it right, you can get it done. It doesn't have to, it's like they say in wrestling and everything else, work smarter, not harder,
And there is
and
some wrestling tie-ins in the movie.
there were. I was suspicious of that, and there were in fact. I was wondering if that one particular character was actually a wrestler. I mean, he certainly
Yeah,
put the camel clutch on, proper. So
that was great. That was
yeah,
cool. And
yeah,
the best news is no spoiler, really. There's going to be a Brute 1986 coming.
yeah, yeah.
You could
Which
hear
is
about that in
which is an
the
interesting, way that he's going about it. It's kind of because the genre, would change in say like that 10-year period.
yeah.
But it kind of like wrapped around like so like in 76, like yeah, movies like Chainsaw were, like that's horror movies at the time. In 86, you're talking more about Jason and Freddy and Michael Myers and stuff like that. So now you're 86 is going to have, he
Yeah,
said
I'll
it would
be
be he said it would be
curious to see
something
where
more
he
along
goes with
those
that.
lines. Yeah. So yeah, so that's an interesting way to go about paying homage to those particular eras, because because the stuff in between, a lot of it tends to just be knockoffs of it and stuff. It's
Right.
just everybody's doing their own Texas Chainsaw up until somebody finally had the idea for, Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and that sort of stuff. And then everybody was knocking those off for a while. And then they finally started making other stuff like, Saw and getting into different things. So yeah, so that's a cool way to go about it. And hearing his story about his health and his, that what he's been dealing with his entire life and everything. I mean, like, uh, honestly, that was one of my favorite parts of talking to him. Was hearing all about that and hearing that how he's growing from that, and he's making it work, man. So
He's been through a lot physically and emotionally, and he's coming out smiling and trying to be and actually being positive, not trying to be positive. He is positive.
yeah,
Um, I just think he's a great dude, and
no,
I'm really
I
glad that it
and I
came out.
admire that, and that, like I said, I think was my favorite part of getting to talk to him. So thank you again, Joey, for coming on. Um,
Everybody check out Brute 1976, available on Amazon and other outlets.
Yeah, but if you want to see like the full gore of this movie, if you're into it, don't go to Amazon yet, because I don't know if they will fix it, but it's censored. So I would maybe like Google uncensored Brute 1976 or something like that and see where that's streaming if you
Yeah.
really want the full experience. So.
Yeah, because what was censored is, as we discussed in the interview, didn't really need to be censored.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I was like so I was glad to hear that that was not
Yeah,
there and it wasn't intentional. Like that's not part of
yeah.
the master. I'm like, who would I was So anyway, with all that being said, thank you again everybody for joining us. I of course, as always, have been who else but Tommy else. And with me from Skokie, Illinois, is the man on the beat. From johngysbeat.com, Mr. John Rob Lusky.
Brute 1976. Watch it.
John G 2025. Don't.